Okay, today we're going to go through the workings of this Planet Junior sickle mower. Most people know how sickle mowers kind of work, but don't know exactly how they work. There's pieces on here that you can adjust and pieces that you got to look for to tell you whether they're wore out. To get this thing apart, the first thing you got to do is take out these two bolts and pull off your drive piece, and then you slide your sickle out. If your sickle don't slide out, it's probably bent, and it's probably no good. Next thing you want to do, you want to look down the bar, make sure that it's straight. After that, you want to look at the back edge of the bar and make sure that it ain't got great big grooves worn into the back of it. Because what you don't want is the sickle moving back and forth this way. And I'll show you here. This is the hold down clip, and you can see by the amount of stuff underneath it that whoever restored this never took this mower apart. All this dirt and stuff built up in here. But you take off the hold down clips. These are guide plates. You know, look at the same thing on the guide plates. You see at the front edge of this, it's nice and square cornered. If it's all rounded off, it's going to let the bar go back and forth. And it's going to make it really hard to cut because this thing, the sickle will jump up and down inside of here. Also notice, this mower was probably red at one time. You got the same thing going on back here. That's about the maximum amount of movement that you'd ever want. Now, how you change that is with your piece in there and these bolts loose. This thing actually has oblong holes in it, and you slide them forward just slightly. That's an exaggeration what I'm doing right here. But with this clip on there and the nuts finger tight, you'll be able to move that. You can see how far forward that goes. You got to do every single one of these, and that keeps that bar nice and straight in there. You don't want it crooked in there, and you don't want it moving back and forth. Now this piece right here, most places call it a guard. Here in Iowa they call them snakeheads. I don't know why they've been called snakeheads ever since I was a little kid. But if you can get in here, this is a ledger plate that's riveted on. You can just barely see the rivet. This is riveted onto the top of the guard, and they're serrated when they're new. And if they're smooth, then they won't cut worth crap. It's just like these sickles. You can get the sickles in a smooth sickle. You can also get sickles that are serrated to cut tougher material. You don't see that too often in a garden tractor. But these two pieces, this ledger plate and this sickle edge, have to work with each other. If it floats up or if it floats back, when the material goes through here, it's just going to fold it up and rip it off. It's not actually going to cut it. This sickle is in pretty good shape, considering. I don't see a lot of, there's a little nick in that blade right there. I'll probably run the grinder over this and touch these up. This is one of the problems though with collecting stuff's cool, but if you want to use it, it's got to work functionally right. You got to have just certain amounts of things. This big bracket right here, the book says that this thing will cut anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches. If you take off this, you put this under the bar, that'll raise the bar up just a little bit more, and that's probably where they get their 3 inches. If you take them clear off, you're cutting right on the ground, and I wouldn't really recommend you to do that because you get down into the dirt, the rocks, and that'll be relatively hard on them. But other than that, this is a pretty top line mower. It's got a synchro balanced. Can you get over there and see this? This is your synchro balanced pulley right here, and it takes a lot of the vibration out of the mower as this drive goes back and forth. Because that's what this does, is it just spins around here, and Rusty covered some of this in his video, and he just moves this back and forth, and every Every sickle, I don't care what it's on, is going to have a dry block of some kind. Some of them are bolted right onto the sickle. Some of them are riveted onto the sickle. Some of them are in the middle of the sickle. But that's what this does, is it lets it slap. And part of the reason people think they lose power is they don't realize that unlike a rotary mower, you got the constant motion. On this sickle, it's got to go that way, and it's got to stop for a millisecond and go back the other way. And that's what screws stuff up, because as it's stopped for that millisecond, it's still moving forward, and it'll try to jam everything up into these fingers, and it can't clear it out fast enough. Most of the books that you read on the garden tractors will talk about you want to keep the RPMs of your engine down, so your sickle ain't beating itself quite to death, and you don't want the tractor to go any faster than it can handle the material. But that's what we're going to do here this afternoon. I'm gonna clean some of this up, and I'm going to readjust some of this stuff so I don't have all this excess play in here. Get my sickle sharpened up, and I ought to be able to go out and do some cutting. Okay, thank you.